From Section 8 to a multi-six-figure real estate agent and investor, I want to introduce you to one of my amazing coaching students, Dwayne, who's absolutely knocking out of the park. Matter of fact, I was taking so many freaking notes out of this session here today, and I want to make sure that I share his story with you guys because you guys are going to find it inspiring and invigorating and helping you guys crush your year. Let's dive into the video. All right, so everyone, just wanted to connect you with one of my amazing students, Dwayne. Thank you for coming on, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Well, listen, I'm so excited about this session together because you're absolutely freaking crushing it, man. I just wanted to say, I speak to a lot of top producers, but I love not only what you're doing in your business, but you're just a super humble guy. You're super down to earth, and I always appreciate your energy on the call. So I just appreciate you being a good guy, man.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, man, for the kind words.
Of course, of course. So I want to get to the nitty gritty of your story. I feel like a lot of people can relate to your story a little bit because I know you've shared with me in the past, but I want to have the rest of the audience hear about it. So tell me a little bit about younger Dwayne and before you got into real estate, and then we'll talk about like what got you interested in getting into the industry.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I appreciate you asking that question. So a little bit about me, originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I wouldn't say we grew up in poverty, but we grew up lower middle class. My mom was a single parent of 3 boys. We've been on everything from like Section 8 all the way up to seeing my mom purchase her first home. So, very humble beginnings. So I do understand what it looks like to kind of live at the lower end of the spectrum and just kind of building my wealth up to where I am today.
So grew up in Maryland. Where are you based out of now?
I'm actually based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I have my real estate license in North and South Carolina. And then we're also working to transition into Georgia, and then I'll be focusing back on the Maryland real estate market where my family lives.
How do you like Charlotte, by the way? My fiance and I are thinking about going down there.
Charlotte is nice, man. It grew on me over the years. I originally moved to Charlotte for 2 things, real estate and a relationship. And right now, real estate is the only thing that's stuck. And I'm actually happy with that decision.
Well, listen, we'll make a trip out there and we'll come say hello in person. So
let's do it, man.
Let's talk about the career. What did you do before real estate? And then what made you get into real estate?
So honestly, real estate's probably like the thing, I've had like odds and end jobs. I'm a college dropout, similar to yourself. So our stories, pretty much align. It's one of the things that connected me with you. But I would say I probably had like odd jobs. I merchandised for Pepsi. I literally worked at Sam's Club fresh out of high school. And I actually got into the property management piece probably around 2005. And that's pretty much what I started out at before I got my broker's license. So I was managing B, C class apartment assets.
I definitely think that people don't take that into consideration enough before they get their license. Like if they're going to get part-time jobs, you either do 2 things. Like if you're a hustler, you either get a night job, right, where you could work all day, every day, or you go do what you did, which I agree. I wish I did that. Instead of working for some dumb realtor as a transaction coordinator, I should have worked for a developer, a big-time investor, property management company, and really got my feet wet, right? Like that's the right way to do it if you need a salary job. I think that's awesome, right? So now you've been licensed for what, 15 years or so?
Well, no, actually, I got my license in 2017. Before that, I've just been straight investing.
Got it.
So we was doing a lot of investing, a lot of wholesales.
Let's talk about that part real fast then. So many real estate agents are like, they're chasing the quick buck. They're like, oh, wholesaling is that thing because I'm not doing well at real estate. I got to go do wholesaling. Give me the 2 cents you have real quick on like the biggest mistakes people make when they're doing wholesaling.
I think if you can, as a broker, if you can sell a property, you can wholesale. So they in my opinion, I think they kind of run parallel. I think the deal structure is just different. It's all about your mindset and how you approach the deal. I think a lot of mistakes that people make when it comes to wholesaling, I think is honestly just overthinking, overanalyzing. I think it's one, commit first, get the property locked up and know that once you're under contract, depending on how your contract is written, you have some margin of error. Let's say if you overprice the property and you go into contract on it, you can probably just be able to retrade or renegotiate that contract. A lot of new wholesalers that I've ran into are putting a lot of money down that's not refundable. Depending on your state, if you do due diligence, like in North Carolina, there's refundable due diligence. You could put a low due diligence down and a very high earnest money deposit and lock that property up and then just make adjustments along the way. It's all about trial and error at the end of the day. Similar to what I'm doing. I make good money, but I also know that there's a higher level that I want to achieve. And I think it's just aligning yourself with people that are a lot smarter than you that have done these deals. And even if you have to share the wealth a little bit just to get the experience, it's going to take you a lot further than where you currently are.
Love that. All right. So I want to recap because you said a lot of great things. I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of real estate agents, number one, I like how you said that they have a lot of parallels, right? And I feel like a lot of real estate agents only see business through one lens, right? Like it's like, well, can I list this property? No? Okay, I can't make money, right? It's like instead with us, we're like, we'll look at a property and be like, how can I make money with this deal? Can I buy it? Can I wholesale it? Can I rent it? Can I do it? Like in all these different facets of how you look at a deal before you just make that choice. So I like that. I like how you said, get it locked up. I think that's incredibly important for people, whether you're a real estate agent or trying to wholesale deals. It's like, get an offer together. Like I do this all the time in commercial real estate. You were just listening to me talk to coach one of my sales guys. He's got a hot lead for a property. I'm like, listen, dude, make an offer. Let's see what happens. And then I love how you said align with people smarter than you. I think that is so freaking smart. And it's just like I feel like if we just took a step back and we're like, okay, well, if I want to make more money each and every single year, if I just aligned with smarter and wealthier people every single year, and I find some way to bring value to them, I'm probably going to make more money.
I completely agree with you.
Right? It's just like, don't overthink things. Like, okay, if I align and partner with really wealthy people, I'm probably going to make some money. Right. And I just got to find some value. So let's talk about like over the last few years, you got your license in 2017. We've gone back and forth about a couple of things that you're up to now. You're up to big things. Last year, you hit some pretty crazy numbers. So what'd you end up doing last year? And what is your goal for this year? 2022 numbers, and we'll dive into 2023 goals.
Yeah. As far as income, I brought in a little bit close to about 300,000. Probably about 200,000 was from brokerage. About 100,000 was from wholesaling.
And then like I remember the way we were talking about it, you were saying that even like you had a partner which you were 50-50 with. So essentially you guys were doing, somewhere between like 500 to 600,000 in deals, right?
Yeah. So we were partnered on a lot of multifamily assets. My average price point was about $1 million. And we were splitting everything pretty much down the middle when it came to commission. And I would say probably we were actually with a different firm that actually dissolved, but nonetheless, once I came to EXP, I did a bunch of those transactions. I understand how to operate multifamily, how to manage it. So it's just only right that I actually just kind of created my own team and just started doing a lot of these deals and capturing a lot of that commission myself. So
absolutely. I love that mindset. So then let's talk about a little bit about your goals right now. What's your goal for 2023 and beyond?
So, I'm very humble, like you said earlier. So, and I always set realistic expectations. My goal, honestly, with the transition of spending time, one, you made a great suggestion to implement an assistant or transaction coordinator. So that's one of the things that I've done since joining into the program is kind of implementing SOPs for my transaction coordinator / assistant. So my goal, honestly, is to continue to do 300,000 this year. It's always harder to kind of go higher. So we can create some consistency when it comes to what we're making. So 300,000 a year, and I also want to sell $20 million worth of real estate this year.
So just to make sure everyone's understanding correctly, like last year you put up some pretty big numbers. You were able to take home 300 grand, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Way higher than the average realtor. And then you came into the program, we were talking about something called SOP, standard operating procedures, which you were implementing because you're hiring a support staff member. I agree.
Yes.
Such a pivotal thing in my business, which was when I hired the right support staff member. And what's fascinating that I found, and I love to get your feedback, if you hire the right support, your income should nearly double.
Yes.
Right? And if your income does not double with that right support member, I'm promising you hired the wrong person, because that's what a support person should essentially do, because it's giving all your time back and all your stress. You said you hired somebody. Was that a per how'd you end up doing that? Was that a per transaction, or was that a VA, or what'd you end up doing?
Yeah, I actually got a VA, and one of the things that I ran into, especially database and a lot of the properties that I go after, is that I'm running into a lot of Spanish speaking people. So I actually have a VA. She's Hispanic. She speaks Spanish. It's funny because I had a friend of mine reach out to me and say, "Hey, do you know a Spanish speaking realtor?" And I was like, no one that I trust. But I said, my assistant speaks Spanish. So he actually sent me a referral agreement for 20% of a $1 million deal just to be able to utilize my assistant.
Gotta love that.
Probably 1 or 2 times. So it's,
love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I'm hearing you say is make sure they're bilingual. That's what I hear.
Make sure they're bilingual. It's going to be really important. Yeah.
I love that. So let's dive into some considerations here. Why do you constantly feel like investing in yourself is smart? And like, just because obviously, like, I feel like 2 things are going to come to mind, and I want to make sure I want you to speak to both ends of the point here. You made great money last year, and you still feel like it's necessary to invest in yourself.
Yes.
And I want you to talk to that point. And I want to also talk to the point of like younger version of you who just getting started, maybe didn't, make the same kind of money you made last year, and why maybe you didn't feel like it was the right time, or when you thought it was the right time back when you didn't have the money.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I think it's important, even though I made good amount of money last year, I think it's important to always continue to invest in yourself. Why? Because we are all a work in progress, right? We're all on this journey of constantly trying to become a better version of ourselves. And that's just kind of one of the funniest things with identity, right? And just when you think you've defined yourself, life has defined you, there's always another chapter, another challenge, right? It's
Love
all
that.
about getting out of your comfort zone. I know that I'm human, and even though I made good money last year, it's not an excuse to scale back. It's an excuse to keep leaning forward, keep elevating yourself, your mental, your spiritual, your financial game. Asked another question when it came to my younger self. Can you
Yeah, I'm
repeat that
saying like
again?
with your younger self, were you always the kind of person you're like, I gotta invest, I gotta learn, I gotta like, were you
Yeah.
still like, were you always like that, or was that something you feel like you learned over time?
No, I was always like that, man. Even in the sixth grade, you can even Google this. I was featured in the Baltimore Sun. We had something called Micro Society where they kind of created fake businesses to kind of teach us about entrepreneurship. I was actually featured in that paper because I had fired a friend for yelling at one of my customers. So I was, it was like the highlight of me growing up.
I freaking love that, man. I love
I,
that. Let's talk about this for a second, because like I was the same kind of kid, like I was the kind of kid who went to school. I bought up all the snacks at school and then sold it at twice the price. I could relate so much to that. So I want you to
yeah.
just quickly give some advice to either your younger self, your future kids who are like going to be an entrepreneur maybe one day, or someone who's watching this video who's an entrepreneur, they're a salesperson, they're in real estate or anything, and they're struggling to make sense of investing in themselves because they don't have the money right now. And they're like, I'm going to wait till I have the money. What would you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, I would say no one will invest in you if you don't invest in you. When people look at you, they look at the first thing that they see is just your physicality. How do you take care of yourself? One of the reasons why I got braces. One of the reasons why I focus on my mental health. One of the reasons why I focus on my physical health. When you elevate your game and you pour more into yourself, people are going to naturally attract that. Like, you typically attract people based off of how you're vibrating, right? So it's like if you're not vibrating on a higher level, if you're not pouring into yourself, other people are going to pick up on that, man. So that's just one of the things that you got to do. One of the things that I wake up every single day and I do is I commit to myself first. I got to be able to make sure I make my bed. I got to read. I got to meditate. I got to hit the gym. If I don't do that for myself every day, I have nothing to give to other people. I don't want to give everything to other people. And then by the end of the day, it's like, oh, I got to work out. I got to do this. No, I'm pumped up through the day. I get my day started. I focus on Dwayne, and then I give everyone else that extra attention. That's how I keep my cup full.
So well said. So I just want to reiterate so everyone understands, because I'm taking obviously a ton of notes while we're talking here. So what I took away from that was, I love when you said no one's going to invest in you unless you invest in yourself. And it's not specifically time, but it's more so of like, when you meet with a client and they're going to like, think about it, when they sign that contract of listing with you or working with you, they are investing in you, right? You're going to be compensated some way, shape, and form. So that is investing in you. And it's like, if you're struggling to say yes to even yourself, which is like the funniest thing in the world, because I think like if you'd rather invest money in anything, any other type of vehicle before yourself, I think it's the most interesting thing in the world, because you'll have the best returns in yourself. It's all about that attraction, right? It's like that level of energy that you're transferring by investing in yourself, that like letting go, the surrender. I couldn't agree with that more, right? You were talking about the attraction, like you're going to attract the right people when you can invest in yourself, and you're like, it's almost like letting go of the ego. I think that's so powerful. And I love that you said commitment. I wrote that down, and I think that every person that I speak to who makes great money always is someone who's committed.
Yeah.
Like I think that money is attracted to those who are most committed. So I just want to, I commend you for being a massively committed man. So let's talk about things that we're going to shift up, because I want to keep this nice and short for the people watching, and respectful of your time. Two things I want to talk about. For the $20 million, because I want to go back to your goal real quick. You're going to sell $20 million. That's your goal. What do you feel like have been like the one or two or three biggest changes? I know you talked about hiring an assistant already. One or two other big changes that you feel like you're shifting into this year, and maybe that you've learned from being a part of the program.
Yeah, I would say honestly, I'm putting my attention more to the things that has allowed me to make that income. So let's say if investment sales was 90% of my business, that should be getting 90% of my time. I'm also understanding who to delegate certain responsibilities to, giving my assistant the busy work. That way I have more time to be able to sit in front of my clients, be able to prospect. You've told me to implement the Mojo Dollar. I was single-handedly dialing people one by one like a goddamn going rookie. So we got that out the way. And it's like now I went from making on average probably anywhere between 30 to 50 calls a day to 100, so that thing has definitely changed. And then also it's just because I'm with EXP, I try not to spend time recruiting, but I start to spend more time aligning myself with other people that I can collaborate with. Is this a person I can see myself working with every single day? Can I bring them onto the team? Can I actually funnel some leads to them and have them take over those little things that 10% of my income, can I delegate that to someone else and take a little drip off of it? That way I can spend more time traveling, spending time with my family, reading, whatever the case may be.
I'm going to reiterate this to make sure everyone's hearing this, because this is freaking great stuff. And I appreciate you being transparent with us. One thing I like that you said time focus, right? It's like if something has generated over the last year 90% of your income, I'd probably spend 90% of my time doing it too. You know, it's so fascinating, because this also related to when you said, don't be a recruiter. Now it's like the video, like it's so funny because like some people are like, oh, EXP, you're trying to recruit people. This relates to me so much. It's like, I'm not here to recruit people. I don't really care about my downline, right? Like I'm not about that. But what I think is so freaking powerful that you said and that I'm hearing here is that when you have something that's so good, and if you could just do more of what you're doing, that multiplier is going to be so much more so than starting something new, right? And like getting into all of a sudden doing another a job, business, side hustle, whatever, right? Like, because if you could just get better at that 90% of what you did that made you the 300, so it's like 270,000 was from that one thing as an example. If you could just get 20 or 30% better and maybe get 50% more efficient with your time, which should more than double your income because of the support staff that you have and the leverage you're creating, which is the other thing you talked about. Now you go from 250 to 300 to 500 working less hours, instead of trying to start a side hustle where you're probably only going to make 20 grand. Like, it's just not even worth it. So I love that you said that. I like that you talk about systems. Something as simple as the dialer can double or triple your production in the same time. Super smart there. And then just aligning with the right people so you can also live a great life. Because I think that money it only solves money problems, as Hormozi says. Alex Hormozi talks about that. Money only solves money problems. And I think that money allows you to have certain freedoms, but also takes away others. It's like if you don't have the right partnerships and the right leverage, the right support, money's irrelevant, right? So it's like, I love that you're bringing that up. So I want to wrap this up with one last thing that I want you to talk about here, which is if you could go back and talk to your younger self or talk to somebody who's listening right now, what is one piece of advice that you would talk to somebody who's just getting their license or struggling to like anyone from just getting their license all the way up to struggling making their first $100,000? Because you're someone who's been able to achieve a multi six-figure income, which is freaking awesome. And not a lot of people are able to do that. So I just want to have you take this away real quick. What is your biggest piece of advice to someone who's struggling to make their first six figures?
That's a good question. Get real clear and defined about what your why is. And not like, oh, I want to retire at 65. That's not big enough to be able to get you where you need to be immediately. It needs to be something that's greater, and I would say urgently, like immediate, like right now. Like I know for me, we've got a big family vacation coming up. We're going to Jamaica. I'm paying for my whole family. That's a why for me. I got to crush the next 30 days to be able to fund that. I want to get a new car. I need to crush it. Like, so these are the immediate whys. My niece just got a new iPhone on my cell phone plan. She's loving it. Being able to spoil my family now in the present. People want their flowers now, not when they're gone. So when you have people, whether it's your family, your friends, whomever, even yourself, give yourself your flowers immediately now. What do you want now? And how can real estate be able to be that lever to help you achieve it? So I would say get clear on your why, man. Get focused.
I love that, man. It's like, it's so freaking important for people to realize that like 80% of this stuff is mindset, man. And like that mindset is driven from a why. That's really that's the whole purpose, right? Like, most of everyone's like, oh, I got in the real estate business to make money, but there's also a why you need to make that money. Thank you so much for sharing that, man. Like, I think that's so freaking impactful. Like, people want to get in touch because again, you're in Charlotte, you do North Carolina, South Carolina, you're getting your license in Georgia. We were talking about a lot of big things that you're up to. How can people get in touch with you, my friend?
Yeah, people can get in contact with me through my Instagram at multifamily high, multifamilyheigh. Follow me on Instagram, shoot me a message, click the link in the bio, schedule a one-on-one call with me. And then also, my cell phone, you can always give me a call. This is my personal number, 443-509-4379. Give me a call, shoot me a text message. Let's connect.
Listen, if you guys are looking for a rock star, agent, investor type of guy out in the Carolinas and, even say like the Central East Coast area, right? I mean, because I know you're licensed in a couple different areas. Give Dwayne a call. He's the freaking man. I appreciate you being on, my friend. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. It means the world. And looking forward to staying connected, my friend.
I appreciate you, brother.
If you're still watching this video, that means to me that you're a committed real estate agent and you're looking to take your life and business to the next level. I'm just curious, why have you yet to schedule your free, no obligation coaching consultation? All you have to do is simply go in the description down below, and people are telling me this call has been the most unbelievable, the most powerful call they've had in their entire career. And here's just a few of the individuals who have taken full advantage of this call. And my mission is to support as many realtors as possible, build a 6- and 7-figure net income business so that they don't have to rely on this industry anymore for their everyday income. If you're a committed realtor, which I can seem like you are, all you have to simply do to take full advantage of this free coaching consultation is to go in the description down below and schedule your free call now.